English barriers and strengthen our English abilities. Before we dive into the exciting agenda we have prepared for you, I would like to take a moment to share some information about the organization behind this workshop. Today's event is hosted by the Center of Business Administration, or CBA for short. CBA is an extraordinary institution that believes in creating opportunities for the young generation to learn and grow. And they do so by offering their courses entirely free of charge. Through their dedication and commitment, CBA has become a beacon of hope, providing invaluable education and training to countless individuals who strive to better themselves and their communities. Now, let me introduce to you the driving force behind this workshop. Yes, our esteemed project manager at CBA, Madina Akbari, has been instrumental in organizing this event. Madina, who has volunteered her time and expertise with CBA for several months, is deeply passionate about language learning and its transformative power. Her dedication to empowering individuals through education has been the catalyst for bringing us all together here today. Please join me in expressing our gratitude to Madina for her tireless efforts and unwavering commitment. Thank you very much, Madina, for doing this for us. We are honored to have the presence of distinguished guests who will be sharing their invaluable insights and expertise with us. First, we have Muhammad Shahrear, Talukder, an assistant professor in the Department of English at the International Standard University in Bangladesh. Shahrear's profound knowledge and experience in the field of English language instruction will undoubtedly inspire us and provide us with valuable guidance throughout this workshop. Joining us as another esteemed guest is Humaira Sylvie, a language instructor in the pre-undergraduate program at Asian University for Women, also located in Bangladesh. Humaira's expertise in English language instruction and her passion for helping young minds make her an invaluable resource for us in our quest to strengthen our English abilities. Okay, in addition to our esteemed speakers, we are fortunate to have Farhad Muradi, one of CBA's esteemed mentors, with us today. Farhad's guidance and support have been instrumental in shaping the success stories of numerous CBA students. His presence here underscores CBA's commitment to providing a holistic learning experience that goes beyond the classroom. But that is not all. As part of our agenda, we have an exciting activity planned for you. Yes, you heard me. Abdul Munir Malikzada, an expert in language learning and gamification, will be leading us through an engaging game that will not only enhance our language skills, but also inject an element of fun into our learning experience. Last but not least, we want to make this workshop as interactive and engaging as possible. We value your participation and encourage you to actively engage with our mentors and speakers. We have set aside time for an interactive Q&A session where you can seek guidance, clarify doubts, and maybe benefit from the wealth of knowledge and experience present here today. So, my friends, as we embark on this journey together, let us embrace the possibilities that lie ahead. Let us break free from the limitations that hinder our English abilities and ignite the fire within us to strive for excellence. Remember, the power to destroy barriers and reach new heights lies within each and every one of us here today. Thank you for joining us on this inspiring day of exploration and growth. Together, let us forge ahead, breaking English barriers and strengthening our abilities. Thank you, and let the workshop commence. Okay, before everything else, on behalf of the hosting team, I would like to inform you that unfortunately, Riyasat Ali, the coordinator of the Center of Business Administration, was unable to join us today due to unforeseen circumstances. Although he couldn't be here in person, he has sent us a heartfelt message expressing his appreciation and support for this workshop. I'm ready to take the honor and deliver it to you. Dear mentees, I hope this message finds you well. I apologize for not being able to join you in person for this workshop, but I wanted to take this opportunity to convey my sincere appreciation and gratitude for your participation. As the coordinator of the Center of Business Administration, it brings me immense joy to see such enthusiasm and dedication from our learners in breaking English barriers and strengthening language abilities. Your commitment to self-improvement and your eagerness to embrace new opportunities for learning are truly inspiring. I want to express my gratitude to our esteemed guests, Shahrear and Humaira, for sharing their valuable insights and expertise with us. Language learning is a lifelong journey, and by participating in this workshop, you have taken an important step towards enhancing your English abilities. I encourage you to apply the knowledge and strategies you have gained here and continue seeking opportunities to practice and improve your language skills. Remember, breaking English barriers goes beyond just language proficiency. It opens doors to new opportunities, expands your horizons, and fosters cultural understanding. Embrace the challenges, stay motivated, and never hesitate to seek support and guidance along the way. Once again, I extend my gratitude to each and every one of you for being a part of this workshop. Your dedication to learning is a testament to your drive for personal and professional growth. I wish you all the best on your language learning journey and may you achieve great success in breaking English barriers. Warm regards, Riyasat Ali, Coordinator of Center of Business Administration. Okay, so this was the message of our honorable coordinator, Riyasat Ali, who made it possible for hundreds of young people to learn for free. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Madina Akbari as the project manager of CBA's courses and a dedicated volunteer. Madina has played a crucial role in organizing this workshop. Her passion for education and commitment to empowering language learners have made a significant impact on countless individuals. Thank you for that. So please give me a warm round of applause for Madina Akbari. I know that this is an online meeting. You cannot clap here, but you can use emojis. And thank you, Madina, for your remarkable contribution. And we are eagerly waiting for your inspiring words. You ready, Madina?
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Shahrear. It's my pleasure to you take me the floor, and thanks my beloved program manager. And first, I will say hi and good evening, everyone. It's really interesting for me. I saw all of you join here and two beloved special guests in here. It's really interesting for me to two of our guests. I know they have really busy schedule and they took as their time for me. It's just not for me, for all of us. It's really amazing. And I must say in the first, thanks for all of the volunteers. They extend their gratitude to all volunteers who dedicate their time to make this program as a wonderful and memorable program for us. As we have two special guests, I'm not on that position. I speak in place of that in front of them. Just I want to mention about my story, not a story. How I must say how to never give up. And because of that, we made this workshop. And the first thing, every people have their own idea, their own key, how they must try their best and success in their life. For me, three keyword is the first one is about learn new skills. It was really amazing. If you learn some new skills, you can achieve lots of your goals. And nowadays in all of the world, skill is a better matter than education. And the second one is about work volunteer with new generation. As now I working with CBA, it's really amazing for me. I start in the mid positions, after that mentor, technical manager, and now I'm project manager in the grammar and the writing course. It was really pleasure for me, and because of that, I think I meet lots of important and very honor people. And another thing is the third one for me, key success is hard working. I know that. And I must say that I'm among of all of you. And impossible is something we don't have any impossible word in the Afghan dictionary, as especially for Afghan boys and Afghan girls. As I'm in among of you, all of you, I know what situation you have and what situation you passed that. And nowadays we have everything. Uh, you have my voice. Sorry.
Yes, we have your voice. You can
I'm sorry,
proceed.
just it is net issue. I'm sorry about that. And because of that, I must say that, and I know, but nothing is impossible. We can do that. And because of that, just believe in yourself and make a plan and go ahead. And nowadays, we have everything. I know in our country nowadays, make a plan or something right in the paper. Maybe I don't want to take your time because we have to beloved guest speaker, and I know they have more than me and they have experience more than me, and they will speak a lot of. And I just interesting to hear from their sides. And again, I want to say thanks for all of you to joining, and thanks for your make decisions very memorable. Thanks, Raistaja.
Before we proceed with our agenda, let us take a moment to express our sincere appreciation to Madina Akbari for her invaluable presence and inspiring words. As the project manager of CBS Courses and a dedicated volunteer, Madina has been instrumental in organizing this workshop. Her unwavering passion for education and commitment to empowering language learners have made a profound impact on the lives of countless individuals. Thank you very much, Madina Jan. Now, without further ado, let us move forward with our agenda and welcome our first guest, Muhammad Shahrear Talukder. Shahrear is an assistant professor in the Department of English at the International Standard University in Bangladesh. His expertise in English language instruction and profound knowledge in the field make him a highly respected figure in academia. So let us eagerly listen to his insights and embrace the knowledge he will impart upon us. Once again, thank you, Madina, for your exceptional contribution, and let us continue our workshop with enthusiasm and anticipation. Please give a warm welcome to Shahrear Talukder.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum, and good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, that's great. Thank you for inviting me in this sort of webinar, and rather I should say that it's a workshop. And first of all, actually, I'd like to thank my colleague, Mr. Dr. Abu Naim. Actually, he introduced me to this Center for Business Administration. Actually, I didn't know about it that much. And then I got introduced with Madina Akbari, and when she asked me to join, whether actually I'd like to join this sort of program or not, then without any hesitation, I said yes. Because it's really a rare opportunity for me in that sense that rarely actually we get the opportunity to talk to the people from Afghanistan, especially because of different other reasons. But I don't want to be politically incorrect, so I don't want to go to that point. Just want to say that there are geopolitical and different other regions that rarely we get chance to meet with Afghan people and Afghan educators or learners in any way that I want to express it. And I'm really fascinated to know that actually you are offering these sort of services, education services regarding education or conferring education or degrees or certificate courses to the people free of cost, which is really a rare gesture that we could see in these days. And because of your situations that is going on in your country presently, I think that many of our students and learners and educators, they're going to benefit out of it. So anyway, when Madina actually requested me to participate in this program that titled Breaking Language Barriers, Strengthening Your English Abilities. And I found it very interesting in that sense. And it's not something which is uncommon. It's everywhere, especially in our part of the world, in the South Asian countries like Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, or Nepal. We can see this because we are not in that situation that where we are always using English as that means that we call in our linguistic term, we call it immersion. So we don't have that opportunity to get ourselves immersed in English language. So as a result, what is happening that we have to create a situation by ourselves so that we can learn. And there comes the motivation, because when Medina actually in her today's discussion at the beginning, she was saying that they're highly motivated and they're trying to learn, and all the time they're trying to increase their ideas and having new experiences, that actually she mentioned there. And which is true that we are trying to improve the situation, and also when it comes to linguistics, when it comes to language. And in our country, especially in Bangladesh, we are also having the same problem, that the English abilities, we are working to strengthen the English abilities of our students. Since our students didn't have that much exposure to the English native speakers, or we can say that that sort of schools or colleges, we don't have that much good schools and colleges here in our country. There are some, but only the privileged sections of the society, they get the chances to study in those schools. And as a result, what is happening that most of the students in our country, those who are coming from schools and colleges and who are reading in even in the tertiary level in the university, we are facing problems, because our students, they find it very difficult when they find it that in the university level, the medium of instruction is English only. So that is the struggle, and that is our struggle too. At the same time, it's not only the students, they are finding it difficult, we are also finding it difficult to cope up with these situations. And every time we are trying to customize our syllabuses and also our lesson plans and everything, so that we can serve the students, we can help our students to increase their knowledge or linguistic competence. Now, someone is sharing the slide. So if you stop sharing the slide, then in that case, I can share mine one, if it is possible. Okay, all right. And unfortunately, here actually I'm having power outage, so that's why I'm sweating a lot, because there is no electricity in my part of the city here in Dhaka. So this is a very common phenomenon these days, especially in the summer seasons. Okay, thank you. All right, so let me check it out. Yeah, okay. So can you see it? Is it visible to you, the slide?
Yes.
Okay, before I begin, it's some sort of, I should say that it's not exactly the workshop, rather I will say that it's workshop plus just sharing my experiences, that what is I'm having. Before coming to this, webinar today, this workshop today, we are having a meeting in my university, and there our Honorable Vice Chancellor of the university, he was emphasizing on the language skill of our students, because in the last exam that we had in our department, in all the departments actually, the students' performance of English language, it was alarmingly bad. And some of them, they did really well, but most of the students actually, they couldn't get good grades because of their language deficiency. So from my experiences, actually, I want to say that what I've seen in my last 15 years experience in the tertiary level, that I've been teaching since 2007 in different universities here, home and abroad, that I've seen that some of the basic things that, or basic barriers that our students facing in our country. So I believe that all these experiences that I'm going to share with you, you can also find some of these are common to your phenomenon also. In your situation, you can also find some of the common barriers. And as Medina told me that I should talk about reading and writing, if I'm not mistaken. Medina, am I right? That you wanted me to talk about reading and writing.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. Okay, so that's actually I'm focusing on exactly on reading and writing. So I would like to start my session with this one, that why do we need language skills? I can see that there are many educators are here. So if anyone from students or learners from the institute, the Center for Business Administration, if anyone can please tell me that, what is it? Fatima, I think she raised hand. Fatima, would you like to share your idea?
First of all, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope you all fine and doing great. I warmly welcome all of the guests that they are in our today's program. And about the question, why do we need language skills? As we all know that we have a common expression that if you know one language, you're over one person, and if you know more than 1, 2, 3 languages, you're 2, 3 people. So learning language skill is the most important thing that we can get a higher education, we can abroad study, and we can be a person who can be an active and can access to the cultures, to the facilities and accessible for other people.
Okay, that's great, great. And language skills, actually, we can achieve it. But if you think that your language skill is not, I mean, what should I say? It's not effective enough, then what shall we do with that kind of language skills? It's only communicable, but we want effective language skills, right? Fatima, what do you think? Many of us, we have language skills, but effective language skills, which is more important than only having the language skills. And that's why actually we are talking about language barriers today, because many of us, we can communicate, but there are some barriers. Because of that, actually, we cannot communicate effectively. So that's why I'm going to focus on today some of the barriers that actually we face, especially here in our country, that we face with our students, that what kind of barriers actually they are having. Now, before I start talking about those barriers, I'd like to just give you a little bit of reminder, because most of us actually are familiar with this, that key elements of effective communication, as we can see that it's all about a clear message. That means I want to communicate my ideas with other people, other interlocutors very clearly. And also it's a part of active listening. We have good language skills. For example, I'm a good speaker, but I'm not a good listener. And if I really want to be a good speaker, I must be a good listener. Most of the time we would like to talk, but we don't want to listen enough. So listening is also part of effective communication. And nonverbal cues. Many of us actually, we have problems with the nonverbal cues. We don't understand the nonverbal communication. That means most of it, it is said that, and also some statistics, they have found it in America, they said that 70% of our communication it's done by nonverbal communication. So understanding nonverbal communication, it's also a part of the effective communication. And empathy is there, of course, because we communicate to express our emotion. We communicate to express our sympathy and empathy with others. We don't want to hurt anybody else's feelings. So empathy is one of the part of effective communication. For example, I talked to somebody, I conveyed the message, but at the same time, that person actually, he didn't like my attitude, my approach. So it is not empathetic. So we should be very careful about it. And also feedback. Many of us, we like to talk, but we don't like to take feedback from others. So taking feedback from others is also part of effective communication. Then, of course, showing respect. For example, there are some cultural differences, cultural gaps, and matters related to race and other stuff in different parts of the world. So we need to understand people's situation, their education background and other things. So accordingly, we should talk to them. So showing respect, understanding their circumstances and situations, it's also part of the effective communication. And timing is also very important. Sometimes we just talk and we don't understand how to maintain the timing. That means to taking time. I'm having a conversation with someone, but I don't know how to give him some time to talk to at the same time. So in a sense, we can say budgeting time while having conversation with other people. So that is also a part of effective communication. And of course, medium that I'm using. That means whether I'm using over phone, I'm talking to someone, that is one of the media that we say. And right now I'm having a discussion with you on using my laptop and using Zoom or this kind of online platform. So this is medium. So medium, and whether actually this medium is working well, I'm communicating, but because of the medium, other people, they can't hear me clearly. So we need to take care of the medium that I'm using. And confidence is one of the key ingredients that I must say of the effective communication, because sometimes because of this lack of confidence, we have the language skill, but we don't have the confidence. So as a result, we fail as a good communicator. So it's a very important component. Then clarity of purpose, that why are we talking, or why am I talking to someone? Why actually I'm having the discussion? So I need to be very clear about my purpose of discussion, purpose of my speech. So clarity must be there. or clarity of purpose of communicating with someone, it must be there. So these are the very common things that we can say that we should know about the effective communication. And there are lots of things actually I have incorporated, so I'll just skip some of the things that you can also take a look at it later on. I would like to, after the session, actually, I will share this slide with you. So if you're interested, so you can go through it later on. Now, what are the barriers to communication? Since we are talking about different kinds of barriers of communication today, and I'll be talking about the barriers to reading communication and also barriers to writing communication. So let's see, very generally, we can see that what are the common barriers to communication. For example, you can see the psychological barriers we have. That means it depends on your psychology, on your mentality, or it depends on your cognitive barriers that we say. So this is one of the barriers. And sometimes if we face too much psychological barriers, then our communication will remain ineffective. Emotional barriers also are there. For example, you're too angry, or you're too sad, you're too frustrated. So this will affect in the long run, I mean, your communication. So we also see that in what emotional situation actually we are at the moment when we are having communication, whether it is we're having a conversation or we're writing an email. For example, if you write an email to one of your colleagues, and maybe at that time you're very angry or anxious about something, so there is a possibility that you might make some mistakes there. It's not about linguistic mistakes. Also, it's mistakes regarding attitude, or email etiquette might not be maintained at that point. So emotional barriers are also very important there. And also physical barriers. Physical barriers means it's about your, as a person, that whether you're physically fit. For example, when you're diseased or if you're not feeling well, you can find that sometimes we find it very difficult to talk because we're tired, exhausted. So it is also there. And also cultural barriers that I've already mentioned when I was discussing the point in the previous slide, that cultural barriers. For example, more or less because of our religious semblance, I'm talking about Bangladeshi people. As you know, that 90% or maybe 85% of our population, we are Muslim majority country, and you're also a Muslim majority country, a Muslim country, we can say. So there are lots of similarities, but at the same time, we have different kinds of cultures. Regarding food, you have a different tradition, maybe, and about clothing, about the way you talk, the way you behave. So when I want to have any communication with you, I must have some basic idea, or that we call common sense, about the culture. Otherwise, it will create some barriers and our communication might not be effective. Organizational structure barriers. For example, I'm working in a university, and sometimes what we see that in many organizations, actually, they have different kinds of structures. And if your organization doesn't provide you a very smooth way to communicate, or a smooth way of communication within the office, within the institution, then it creates also barriers. So there are the different other factors that work in the organizational structure. So that can also create or pose barriers to your communication. Attitude barriers. Sometimes we're very positive, sometimes we're negative. Some people, they're by born or intrinsically, you can see that they are very positive, they're very optimistic. Some people, sometimes they're cynic, or sometimes they're sad, maybe, I mean, or maybe their mood is swinging all the time. I mean, it's very fluctuating all the time. So attitude is very important, that the way you are having conversation with the people. So sometimes you have a good communication skill, but because of your attitude, the other person that you're having conversation with, or maybe you're writing an email or writing a letter or sending him a note. So because of your approach, maybe actually you're hurting his feelings. So that might also cause barrier. Perception barriers are perception about the communication, about the subject, about the people that we have. So this can also cause barriers. Then physiological barriers, that is regarding, I mean, it's as I said that in the physical barriers, it's something like that. Physical barriers also, it means a distance. Actually, I forgot to mention it at that point. So it also means distance. Like I'm conducting this workshop here or webinar here in Bangladesh, and you're there in Afghanistan. Some of you or most of you are from Afghanistan, participating from Kabul or some other parts of Afghanistan. So you see, we have a physical distance. So it might create some problem while actually we're having communication. But you see, if we were in a room where personally or physically, if we were there, all of us, and if we could talk to each other in that room, in that hall room, then it would have been better than these. So that is, it is also causing some kind of physical barriers. And so physiological barriers means that, I mean, the physically, maybe you're not fit, you're not feeling well. So it will cause some problem during your communication. Technological barriers, for example, just a few minutes back, actually, I experienced a technological barrier, which is that there is a power outage here in Dhaka. And because of that, I had to switch to my cell phone and I turned on the mobile data and then I got reconnected with you. So if I didn't have that, I mean, backup, so I could have faced some problem and maybe I had to wait for the electricity and then I could have started it later on. And also social religious barriers. So it's based on society and religion that I've already mentioned that because of the religion, for example, if it is a mixed culture, like, for example, if you're in New York, so you can find people from different religious background and different social background, and also they're from different ethnicity. So we need to take care of all these things while communicating with each other, because it can create huge problem when we are having communication. So commonly, these are the barriers to communication. So now, when we are having ideas about the common barriers to the communication, then now we can come to the point that breaking language barriers, that how can we break it? So I'll be focusing on reading, and later on then I'll be talking about writing. And as you know, that reading is a very complex kind of skill, and we know that for effective reading, we need different kinds of skills and we need different stuff so that we can work together. I'm sorry, I missed it. Let me share it again. Please excuse me. Okay, there we go. All right, as I was saying that reading actually is a very complex kind of, reading is a kind of productive kind of skill, unlike listening. Listening is a receptive kind of skill. Reading is a productive kind of skill. So when you, but I will say that reading is receptive and productive at the same time, because when you read, you receive the masses from the text, and at the same time, you're also producing the ideas, or you're trying to making meaning out of it. So that's why actually it's a combination of both the receptive skill and the productive skill altogether. So then what is reading? We know it. So it actually involves different kinds of stuff, like there are different sort of messages are decoded in the text, and there are different sort of vocabulary, and we have to encode it in the text, and then we have to decode it, and we need to understand those things. And in between, there are lots of stuff that actually create problems, or it create barriers. And also there are other things when it comes to reading, that is especially the genre. Sometimes we have a very good reading skill, but if we're not familiar with different kind of genres, like people who are not familiar with different sort of poems or poetry, if they're not familiar with novel or short stories or travelogue, or different other kinds of writings are available online, or even in print media, you can find it there. And sometimes when you're not familiar with the genre, it also poses some, challenges to your understanding of the text. So this is some sort of barriers, not being familiar with different kinds of genres. So, and also there are different kinds of strategies to read something. And also, since we know that, especially in my language, since my language is Bengali, or we call it Bangla, so we have a huge difference with the pronunciation and also with the scripts. The Bangla scripts and the English scripts, they're completely different. And that is one of the challenges that our students find it, because in my language, whatever we write, we pronounce it exactly right like that. But in English, since they are borrowing, English is borrowing words from different sources, like Greek words, Latin words, French, of course, and of course from Arabic, Persian words are available, and even from Bangla and Hindi and Urdu. So it is borrowing from different different languages. So as a result, so the spelling actually it gets influenced by those, source languages. So that's why the way actually we write, the way we spell it, we don't pronounce it all the time in the same way. So reading is also, and these pronunciation problem or articulation problem is also creating problems while actually it comes to reading skill. And as we know that why we need reading skill, because of the academic success, we need this reading skill, and also we want to acquire knowledge. We want to develop different kinds of critical abilities, critical thinking abilities. So that's why we need reading skill. Because as you know, there is a saying, if you want to be a good leader, of course, you have to be a good reader, because the more you read, the more actually you develop your critical thinking, and then more control you can have over the people. Because being a leader means you can convince people, you can persuade them, you can pursue them, and therefore actually you can bring them to your point. So that is the thing about the leadership. So critical thinking abilities, of course, actually reading a skill is, we need it for that. And of course, staying up to date, that is another important thing, because the more we read, we come to know about different information, what is happening around the world. Maybe we can read on newspaper, we can read on different kinds of online materials from different online platforms. So it's really helps us to keep us updated with the latest information, what is going on around the world, even in our country or everywhere. Okay, and let's talk about the barriers to effective reading. What are the barriers that usually we face? The first thing that what personally I have found that our students in my country that they face, that is a limited vocabulary. Since they're not familiar with the vocabularies, and what happens that I don't know, what is your experience? Maybe it's same. Do you have the same experience with your students that the vocabulary might cause some problems for reading, or maybe your students, maybe they come up with, better stock of words when they come to school or when they come to universities? What is the situation? Can anyone share with me? Because actually, I don't have that much idea about what is going on there. Is there anyone who would like to share some points about vocabulary case? Do you face the same thing the way we face it here in our part of the world? Anyone would like to share? Hello? Am I connected? Oh, again, Fatima. Yes, ma'am, please.
Sir, about vocabulary, having the vocabulary problems that everyone is facing is about not knowing the exact usage of vocabulary, and don't know that how and where they should use it. Remember, forgetting the vocabularies, and if, for example, if I just memorized some of the words today, and by not using it every day in a conversation or a communication, I would definitely forget it, forgetting the vocabularies, and also not using it in speech.
Okay, that's true, which is true. Same thing goes here. But one more thing, that is because of the lack of the vocabulary, our students, they're very scared of it, and they got very anxious about it. And what happens that they even can't pronounce it because they're not familiar with the word. And sometimes some of my students, they even don't try to utter it because they're completely unfamiliar with the word. They don't know it, so they don't want to utter it even. So sometimes it's very difficult to ask our students that just go ahead and try to utter the word, and they say that simply their answer will be, sir, I'm not familiar with this word, I don't know how to pronounce it. So this is one big problem with our students, even in our university, that I've already witnessed. Yes, Mr. Amiruddin, please. Would you like to contribute some?
Yes, dear teacher, do you have my voice?
Yes, we can hear you very clearly.
Okay. First of all, hello. I hope you're doing well and healthy, and you and all of my members in the groups.
Thank you.
I have one question from you.
Yes.
I'm also a teacher. The others, my students ask all this from me. I understand all of the things. When I speak to some person, I forget it all of things. What is the reasons to this problem?
That means you forget words or you forget information. Which one exactly? Can anyone please clarify the one? Because there was some noise there, so that's why I couldn't get him clearly. Is there anyone who can clarify? Yeah.
Say that during the communication or speaking, he totally forgot everything. I mean, about the talking, making the sentences continue, keeping the conversation going.
Oh,
Exactly,
guys,
exactly. That's right.
we have
Yeah,
a Q&A session at the end of the session. You can ask your questions.
okay. I'll
there.
keep. Yeah, thank you very much for the reminder. I'll keep that question. So I will ask the moderator, please note down all these questions. So anyone can answer to these questions, and even of course I will answer to these questions at the end of the session. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, Medina, are you with us? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Okay, if you please just note down these questions and just remind us at the end of the session, okay?
Okay. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Okay, now, okay, let's move on. Now, another problem with effective reading, that is poor comprehension skills. I think that there are many factors actually, they are responsible for this. One is the limited vocabulary, and at the same time, students, they don't have the reading habit. They don't want to read it. So the problem is that with my students, some of my students actually, that what I have found that in my reading class, they say that we simply can't read. So since they find some obstacles, or since they have some problems while reading, and that's why they're scared of reading, which is very interesting that actually. But we are encouraging them to practice all the time, again and again. But when they find it difficult, or if they find any obstacle, they stop reading. So there is the problem. The poor comprehension skills, actually, it comes from there. And also, they come with poor education background from their school. Maybe they didn't have, in the school, actually, they didn't have that much opportunity to study different kinds of reading materials from different genres or different sources. Lack of prior knowledge, which is also important thing, is that as you can see in the IELTS exam or in different other competitive exams, that they actually incorporate text from different sources. For example, I'm from English literature and linguistics or literature, language, whatever you say. So I don't have that much exposure to the science material. So if there is a text from the science background, so sometimes we find it very difficult to answer to these questions. So we call it, in our language, we call it schemata, or we call it prior knowledge. So because of the lack of this prior knowledge, also, they read, and when they don't understand some of the text, they think that they can't read. But actually, maybe they don't have the prior knowledge about the topic, but it doesn't mean that they can't read. So making meaning out of it, and if they fail it, they think that they can't read it. So this is one problem with our students. Maybe you're also having the same experiences, those who are studying or those who are teaching in different schools or colleges or universities. And reading anxiety, this is another thing. And because of the poor comprehension skills, limited vocabulary, and also you don't have the, that much prior knowledge about something. So it's some sort of anxiety works in you, that you think that whenever actually your teacher or your facilitator, he or she provides you with a text, you feel very anxious or nervous. So some kind of jittery, it works in you, and you think that you won't be able to read it. So this reading anxiety is another reason, that maybe when you're reading it alone, when you're at home and you're reading alone, you can read it. But in front of the, among your classmates and in front of your teacher, maybe you can't read it properly, but you can read it. So reading anxiety is another thing. That is also a barrier to the effective reading. And distractions. These days, distractions is very common. Even I myself also get distracted when reading something because of these different kinds of social media and different other platforms. So distractions is one thing that which also causes or poses challenges for our reading, because most of the time we like to watch videos rather than reading stuff, because listening or watching things is easier than reading. So we get distracted. We start scrolling the Facebook or other social media like Twittering, whatever. And then we get distracted, and then we keep our books away, and we forget to read pages. So, and because of this, actually, we're losing our reading habit day by day. So distractions is one important thing that we need to take care of. And learning disabilities. Sometimes some of our students, actually, they don't understand. Those who are educators here, I will request them, maybe you're aware of it. Of course, you're aware of it. I know it, but just a reminder, a polite reminder, that please take care of your students' disabilities, because our students sometimes they come with different sorts of problems like dyslexia. So they can't read properly. They don't see the letters on the papers in the proper order because it is there something cognitive disabilities they're having. Or some of them actually, they have some eyesight problem, but they don't know about it. Maybe they haven't seen the doctor, but when they come to the class, they can see it properly. They can see whatever it is written on the whiteboard or blackboard, and they can write it properly. But we think that they can't read. But actually, it's not that they can't read. It's their eyesight problem. So I would like to just share one of my personal experiences here. My daughter, the elder one, actually, we didn't understand that actually she was having this sort of eyesight problem. And when she went to school, most of the time she failed to take notes. And both of us actually were very worried about it, that why actually she's failing to take notes. And it is happening again and again. Then one day actually we went to our school and talked to the school coordinator, and he said that, did you see a doctor or did you take her to the eye specialist before? We said that no, we never thought about it. He said, please go to an eye specialist and talk to them and see actually whether she has any problem with her eyesight. And we are very surprised and shocked at the same time. And we also feel ashamed that it didn't come to us, though we are actually working in the education field. So this is the thing that we need to take care of, that sometimes our students, they might have some disabilities, and because of that, actually, they are facing some challenges. So effective reading can also be blurred or can also be disturbed by these sort of learning disabilities. And lack of motivation, I think it's an international problem. It's not only a national problem, I would say. So some of our students, that what I've seen in my classes, that intrinsically they are not motivated, and also instrumentally they are not motivated. So I don't know why, but some of these students, they're very motivated and they are improving. Their reading is improving. So I'm very optimistic that if we work on this motivation thing in the class, and if we can identify the students that why actually they are lacking motivation, if we can identify it properly, then I'm pretty sure that our students actually, they will feel inspired and they will improve this reading skill in the long run. Okay. So there are more things, for example, difficulty comprehending text. We read the text, we don't understand it. Then reduced reading speed. So, some of my students, what I've seen, that they're reading, but since they can't read fast like their other classmates, or faster than the other classmates, they think that actually they don't have the reading habit. But it's not that. So different people have different sort of reading speed. And it depends on people's personality and also their vocabulary, their pronunciation skill, and also their previous education background. So everything contributes to the reading speed. So we need to work on it, and we can also suggest our learners or how to improve it. So there are some techniques and ways that we can use, like different kinds of games that we can introduce in the class to accelerate their reading speed. Then faulty reading habits. Many of us actually have this faulty reading habits, for example, eye fixation. So we are fixing our eyes in different pages or only in the middle of the pages, and we don't know where to move our eyes properly. So this is, sometimes it creates problems. So we get distracted. So that's why actually we can't read properly. So this is one of the faulty reading habits, like regression. That means we go back to the text again and again, and then we forget to move on. And also vocalization. Different people, they might have different opinions about it. For example, when we read, we vocalize, we read loudly. So sometimes it creates problems. So better actually read silently, and we try to understand every single word. But people say that vocalization or reading aloud, sometimes it helps to understand the pronunciation, and also it helps us to correct our pronunciation. So we have different opinions regarding this matter. It's debatable. And impaired critical thinking skills. So it is something cognitive kind of stuff. That means maybe you have some problem with the critical thinking skill. So in that case, if we can identify that we have that sort of problem, so it's that students actually, they should see some kind of language therapist to take the help from the language therapist. They can solve the problem. So it's not the students, they are the problem. Maybe they have some critical thinking skill deficiency. So we should see the expert, and we can take suggestion from them. And then indiscriminate use of the dictionary. This is a big problem. And honestly speaking, from my own experience, I can say that because I have this habit, And I'm suffering from this habit from since my very early stage of my education life, that my from my school days, that I'm very meticulous about the meaning of the words. So whenever actually I go through a page, whether it is newspaper or anything, and instead of contextualizing, I have a very bad habit that then and there I will just look up the words in the dictionary, digital dictionary, or maybe the hard copy. And because of that, I get distracted. And then I started looking for different words from different sources. And I forgot to read the novel or read the page or read the story, whatever actually I was reading before. So I think that we shouldn't look up the words in the dictionary all the time whenever actually we find any difficult word on the page. So we should know how to contextualize it, but or we can underline it, we can highlight it, or we can go back to the page later on, and then we can find out the meaning of the words from different other sources. And how can we actually solve these problems? So very few things that I have already mentioned. There are many other things that we can do. And I know that some of you, the educators who are here today, you follow different other methods or techniques. So I would also like to hear from you at the end of the session today. So you can also share your experiences. For example, we can techniques for good reading comprehension. For example, nonverbal signals. These are very important. That what are the other things actually we get from the text, so we can understand it from there. Because sometimes when you read, especially when you read a play, when you read a drama, I mean, play on the page, there are different other things are written within the bracket. For example, how the laughter or the sound of the laughter or the creaking sound of the door. So these are the nonverbal signals that we should take care of when reading different kinds of literary stuff, and even when reading poetry. So that will help us to understand the text. And the structure of the text, which is very important, like poetry has a different structure, novel has a different structure, newspaper has a different structure, sentence structure, or paragraph structure. They have a different kinds of coherence and cohesion. So we need to take care of those things, and accordingly, we need to judge a text. Then the structure of paragraphs also, sometimes different writings have different kinds of paragraphs. So accordingly, we can try to understand the text. Punctuation mark is very important, capitalization, punctuation. These things also help us to understand. And what is happening that in my case, our students, most of the time, actually, they don't care about the punctuation marks. They keep reading and they don't give right kind of pause at the right place. And as a result, they fail to understand the text. So it's very important. Author's viewpoint, which is also very important, that what the author actually, what he or she wants to say. Reader anticipation, for example, as a reader, what I want to understand. So I must have some anticipation, expectation from the text. I need to understand it. Determining the meaning of the words. Contextualization is a very good thing. Not like me, that every time actually when I find any difficult word, I look up the word in the dictionary. So it's really creating problem for me, and I can't finish the text on time. So I'm facing problem. And also we need to know how to summarize. We need a page, we need a news article from a newspaper, and then we need to summarize it within the brain, that how to make the meaning out of it. So writing can also help us regarding this matter. Okay, so these are the other things that we can do with the reading, like prioritize, we can eliminate the distractions, we can go for active reading, we can preview the material. Before reading the material, we can try to understand it, we can build background knowledge, the prior knowledge about the subject, about the topic. Chunk the material, that means if it is a longer version, a long text, we can take it bit by bit, and then we can try to understand it. And then practice speed reading that I've already mentioned. We can take breaks. For example, sometimes we keep reading for a long time and we get tired, and mentally we get very exhausted, but we don't understand it. We are very determined to finish the whole text at a single go, but actually it creates problem to understand the text, especially before the exam day. We do it. So we should take breaks properly if you really want to understand the text. And reflection or introspection, that I should rather say, that when you read the text, we need to reflect on it. We need to think about it, about the whole text, and try to get the meaning out of it at the end of reading the text. So in this way, it can help us. So that is the part that I want to end with the reading, and I'll go quick with the writing segment. I don't want to say what is writing, what is effective writing, because most of us actually were aware of it. I will directly jump to the barriers. But before that, we can see that what do we mean by effective writing? For example, if you can clearly communicate our ideas, we can say my writing is effective. Or if we can maintain the professionalism, efficiency, that means maintaining all the structure and other stuff, cohesion and coherence, so efficient writing. Credibility, which is very important, that whatever I write, whether I'm writing it, from a very honest perspective. There is no false in it, so I'm not mixing false ideas or false things with it. About a story or creative writing, that's a different thing. But when actually we're writing factual stuff, so credibility of the readers is very important. If they don't trust you, so they will not write video stuff. So credibility is very important. Persuasion, that means whenever we write something, then we write it in a way that people will get convinced by my writing stuff. So when they read it, they will find it very convincing. So they will believe it, they will trust it. Then academic success, we write for effective writing means when you're successful academically, that means you maintain the academic professionalism. So, and also self-expression. If I can express myself properly in my writing, then we can say that, okay, it is an effective writing. And cultural transmission. Sometimes we write, for example, if I write a letter or an email or write something about you people, about people from Afghanistan, and about a culture and tradition, or about my culture also, I have to write it in such a way that culturally, both of our culture, they can come to a point and they can have some sort of reconciliation and they can understand it without creating any confusion. If I can do it, then I must say that my writing is effective. Now, if I just want to say that what are the very common difficulty that we face while writing, that you can see the first thing that we find is linguistic difficulty. Just like reading, here also you can see that we have problems with the vocabulary. Because of the lack of the vocabulary, right kind of words, you cannot write the right kind of thing or right kind of material that you want to produce or that you want to write for the exam or for any other purposes. So vocabulary is very important. So we need to have a good stock of words, or at least we need to have some words in our stock so that we can write properly. Grammar, that means grammatical competence is very important. Spelling, because when we speak or when we listen or when we read, actually spelling, it doesn't matter that much. But for writing, spelling is a must. So we need to take care of it. So that is linguistic difficulty. And also style. Style means the choice of the vocabulary or the words, or you can say the different kinds of figures of speech or different kinds of register that you use when you write. So your choice of words or your style or your sentence construction or structure, actually, that will say that what kind of a style actually you're having. For example, some people, if they write just like Shakespeare, then we can say it's a Shakespearean style. That means he is following that kind of sentence structure, vocabulary, or other stuff. So style is also the thing that sometimes we don't find our own style, or we cannot create our style. And as a result, we find it very difficult to express ourselves. Okay. And then we have physiological difficulty, for example, handwriting. Some of us actually, we find it that our handwriting is not up to the mark. It's not legible. That means it's not readable. Your handwriting might not be that much attractive, but if it is readable, if people can read it easily, then it's okay. That's from my point of view, I want to say that. Then typing, whether you're typing it on computer or you're just writing it, so that also sometimes create problem. Because if you choose a very difficult font, or cursive writing also sometimes create problem to understand. So that is one of the physiological difficulties. And vision, that means whether your writing is clear, whether we can see it. And physiological difficult, actually, it's caused also reading or listening also. So hearing mistaken, actually, I just incorporate here. But handwriting and typing and vision, that whether you can see it clearly or not, that is also one of the physiological difficulty we face while writing. And also we face cognitive difficulty. There are other things that you can incorporate, but from the broader perspective, so these are the three different difficulties that we can face, that is that I've already mentioned. And one of them is cognitive difficulty. That is organization. Sometimes when you write, you don't know how to put the things in a proper way, like the paragraph writing, for example, when we are teaching paragraph writing. So our students, especially when I teach this sort of writing, academic writing also to our students, I find that the basic thing, actually, they don't know how to write a topic sentence. So that is the main thing. And when they fail to write a proper topic sentence, automatically, actually, they get derailed or distracted, and they don't have control over the whole thing. Rest of the, we can say the supporting sentences or concluding remarks. So as a result, some of the students, actually, they fail to produce a good paragraph because of this, they lack this organization capacity. And sometimes we lose our focus. We don't, for example, we are writing, but we can't concentrate. We fail to concentrate properly. So this is also a cognitive, or you can say mental difficulty we have. Some of us, for example, sometimes I find that when I write, sometimes I think that I'm creative, but some other time I think that what I'm writing is not that much creative. Creative means, it doesn't mean that all the time it has to be full of imaginative expressions. But creative means interesting, attractive, or persuasive, whatever you say. In your own way, you can express it. So creative, and at the same time, you can say critical, they can go hand in hand. And attention to detail. Sometimes we fail to, provide the detail in the text. And as a result, when we find it that it's not very concrete, especially in descriptive writing, in also narrative writing, argumentative writing. So detail is very important there. And also process writing, when we see that, so detail must be there. So if it is not there, then it will be a little bit of an abstract, and people sometimes they find it difficult to understand it. So commonly we can say these are the barriers to the, you can say, to the writing, and we can overcome. How can we overcome these barriers? If I just want to go quick, you can say, for example, we can try to establish the clarity, for example, clarity of our ideas in the text. We can, for example, organization. If we fail to organize our writing properly, so for that, actually, we can go for the outlining. And I know that some of us actually were practicing that, how to organize it, like brainstorming or clustering, or putting your information in different ways. Different people, they follow it in different ways. So outlining is very important. So before writing a text on a particular topic, so we need to have a proper outlining. Free writing is very important. And sometimes I encourage our students to write very freely. So write whatever you want to write about this particular topic. Forget about the mistakes. Don't worry about it. Just keep writing. Then in that way, actually, that will, it's some sort of ice breaking. So free writing is very important. So we can introduce this inside the class. And then we can motivate our students to write. Of course, motivation is there, and we must ask them that what is the goal that they want to achieve through this sort of effective writing. So if they are very clear about their goal, I believe that they'll be able to write it. And grammar and punctuation tools that we can use, like there are different books that we can consult. At the same time, and online, there are different platforms out there that we can use. Some of them are paid versions, some of them are free versions. So whatever actually we can avail, we can use it to use it. And also vocabulary building is very important, and time management, of course, which will help us in the long run to be a good writer. So I think with that note, I'd like to conclude my first session, that how to overcome these writing barriers and also the reading barriers. And I'd like to open the floor for question and answer session. So if you have any comment or anything that you can contribute, or our moderator, Medina Akbari. So now floor is over to you. So you decide what to do. Or we can start the second session with the speaking and listening. So Medina, can you hear me? Medina, are you there? Hello?
Yes, sir, you can talk to me.
Oh, okay. Shaista. I don't know whether I'm pronouncing the name correctly. I'm extremely
Yes,
sorry.
Shaista, I'm the host. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now it's up to you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Respectable guests and mentees, let us express our sincere gratitude to Shahrear Talukder for his insightful talk and valuable expertise. His guidance has provided us with a deeper understanding of language learning and how to strengthen our English abilities. We appreciate his presence here today. Thank you so much. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our next esteemed guest, Humaira Selvi. Humaira is a language instructor at Asian University for Women in Bangladesh. known for her dedication and expertise in language instruction. Let us warmly welcome Humaira as she shares her knowledge and insights to further enhance our English abilities. Thank you, Shahrear Talukder, and have a warm welcome to Humaira Selvi.
Thank you, Shasta. It was really enlightening and refreshing listening to Mr. Shahrear. And thanks for having me. I'm working. Can you hear me properly?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. I am Humaira, as you just have mentioned. I am working in Asian University.
Ma'am, we think we don't have your voice.
Someone has muted me.
It's okay. Sorry for that, ma'am. We think it's
It's
participant.
fine.
Sorry.
It's okay. So yes, I'm Humaira, and I'm working in Asian University for Women as listening and speaking coordinator. And my session is going to be really quick. Let me start by talking about myself. I am 100% from 100% Bangla medium background. The first English novel I read was in the first year of my university life. Before that, I just read the English textbooks, a lot of Bangla novels. And you know, when we are talking about English textbooks, they are small, tiny little things. So it was just textbooks, a lot of Bangla novels, watched only Hindi movies, just like I think most of you, watched cartoons in English without understanding a single sentence. Okay, so then I got admitted in university at 2006. I was good at reading, okay with writing, but listening and speaking, well, let's not go there. It's so embarrassing. My forever enemy was Viva board, and then I realized that the only career that I would like to pursue is teaching, and for that, listening and speaking in English is the must. So fast forward to 17 years ahead, also known as in your language, aka 2023. Even now, whenever I'm watching a movie in English without subtitle, the immense pleasure that I get because you know it's in English, that is almost childish. Now, don't tell that to my colleagues. Yes, you are going to read and write papers in English once you are in an international setting, be it in any country, in Asia, in Europe, anywhere, but you will be communicating, you will be listening to the lectures, songs, to the dialogues, and communicating in English only. So you'll be asking and sharing opinion and argue and agree in English. So it's you who would decide if you want to improve these skills or not. Now, how do you improve your listening and speaking skill in English? Well, the very basic thing, find out similarities. Dukhtar in Pashto, Persian, right? Dukhtar in Persian and daughter in English means the same. It has that similar sound, right? Have you noticed it before? Have fun. One of the BTS members, you know those BTS you go crazy about? He said that he learned English by watching Friends, an American movie. I mean, why not do that? Pick a movie, pick a band, pick a series, a podcast of your liking, and just have fun. Listening part is done. Now sing the song, imitate the dialogues. Well, there goes your speaking. Don't be shy. Your friends are going to poke you, they are going to make fun of you. Ignore or have fun. I mean, why not? You need the language for yourself. If you don't want to endure the pain, you're not going to have the pleasure in the end. So, I have got this one student who went to Russia and another student who went to Korea because their career demanded it. And they learned Russian, they learned German, they learned Korean. I mean, just imagine Russian, German, English in comparison is the easiest language, easiest accessible language ever. What are you interested in? Music, fashion, sports, bioinformatics, rocket science, all the available sources are in English. Read the articles on the subject you are interested in. Listen to the podcast. Then make a 2-minute speech, record it, listen to it, and voila, you are on your way. Now, why I'm talking about listening and speaking? I have said it briefly before. Now, let me explain it a bit. According to Nadig, and specialist, speaking is only half the communication process needed for interpersonal effectiveness. The other half is listening and understanding what others communicate to us. So, these two things, these two skills, listening and speaking, are important. The art of listening, if you practice properly, it leads to the improvement of your ability to communicate. It communicate effectively in everyday life. These two skills play an important role in allowing you perform properly in. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you now. We can hear you
Oh,
now.
I'm sorry, my network and okay, so as I
Totally
was
fine.
saying, well, let me finish it here by saying that the art of listening, if you practice it properly, that leads to the improvement of your ability to communicate effectively in everyday life. These two skills play an important role in allowing you to perform properly in any kind of environment, academic, business, social, just name it. Most importantly, if you are good at listening and speaking, you will know what it means when someone says gumshu and when you should just shrug and say harsha. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your time.
Respectable mentors and mentees and guests. In the virtual realm, let us extend our sincere gratitude to Humaira Sylvie for her enlightening session and valuable contributions. Appreciate it. Okay, guys, as we near the end of our workshop, I would like to share a few final words. Breaking English barriers and strengthening our language abilities is a journey that requires dedication, practice, and a growth mindset. Remember, the learning a language is not just about acquiring grammar rules and vocabulary, but also about embracing cultural nouns and developing effective communication skills. I encourage each and every one of you to continue your language learning journey beyond this workshop. Seek opportunities to practice English in your daily lives, engage with native speakers, and explore resources that align with your interests and goals. Embrace challenges and presence, and never underestimate the power of consistent effort. Now it is time to hear from you, our mentees. We invite you to ask any questions you may have regarding language learning, overcoming barriers, or any specific challenges you're facing. Our esteemed speakers, Madina Akbari, Shahrear Talukder, Humaira Selvi, Farhad Muradi, and Abdul Murid Malikzada are here to address your queries and provide valuable insights. And let me just tell you, we have some other people who helped organize this event, and I want to name each one of them. So thank you very much, Khaibar Khan. Thank you very much, Munir Malikzada, Farhad Muradi, Shukrullah, Nafisa Nouri, Basira Nazari, Shakila, and Sarah Khidri. Thank you so much for helping us organize this event. Okay, please feel free to unmute yourselves and ask your questions. We are here to support and guide you on your language learning journey. Thank you all once again for being a part of this workshop, and let's make the Q&A session interactive and informative. Okay, who wants to ask questions? You may proceed. Okay, yes, Fatima, go ahead. And please address the person you want to ask the question from, okay?
So according to today's workshop, I don't have any question. I just want to present some of my speech about, some of feedbacks about today's workshop. It was really amazing and helpful. I learned many things about first skills of learning English language. Thank you so much for having such an amazing workshop. And I want you to have some more of these workshops, because we people of Afghanistan really need it in this circumstance of Afghanistan, not going outside and sitting alone at home, and having these online classes and these online workshops really help us. And being one of the students of this TBA students, I really want to appreciate it and your hard towards hands. And I would like to not forget to mention my teacher, Mr. Khaibar. who was the English writing class teacher. Thank you so much for being my teacher, sir, if you can hear me. Thanks so much for having such an amazing workshop today.
Yes, you're most welcome, Fatma Jan. Thank you for sharing your words with us. It really inspired us, and we will try to do more of these workshops in the future, inshallah. Okay, guys, come on. We're waiting for your questions or maybe suggestions, whatever you would like to share. Yes, Mujtaba, go ahead.
Yes, first of all, thanks for your nice workshop that we learn a lot. And I have a question from every mentor volunteer to answer my question. And I want to ask how we improve our speaking in society like Afghanistan. Our reading, for example, is good. We read a lot of English book, a lot of novel, etc. But how we can find a native, for example, a native speaker to speak with them? Yes, thank you for your time. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, thank you for your question. Just let me give the responsibility of Q&A to someone who deserves it, and we will answer your question. Okay, yes, our team, who's responsible for Q&A session, you may proceed.
Can I just say something?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Okay. For Mr. Mujtaba, thank you for your nice question. It's the most of language learners' question I just faced to them. Actually, it's hard, especially in Afghanistan situation. You thought about native speakers, but something that it may be good for you, for others, for me. Nowadays, technological world is going to be so more than just physically native speakers or being face to face. I'm using different applications to improve my speaking language, my listening language. Some applications I'm using that I am talking with native speakers from US, UK, different side of the world. If you want, I will share that with your groups and you can use it. But about something that also Ms. Humaira thought about them, you can use different series, movies, also CB theme, your mentors. I know that I am some rules, some to-do list officially with my mentees, but I have a time, we have some sessions weekly, non-officially, and there is nothing like management team. There's no one like management team or something assignment, materials, to-dos. There's no, just we keep our friendly talking in our sessions, and it's too good for my speaking and my mentees speaking. If you want, I would love to add you to our friendly sessions. Okay, I think it's enough. If you want, please feel free to ask me anything you want.
Okay, well, if you don't mind, I'd like to cut in. I would like to add to that question. He was asking about native speaker, right? That since native speakers are not available around, especially in Afghanistan, then how can he improve his efficiency? I think that why native speaker all the time? Because, for example, I've heard Ms. Shaista and Medina, and many of you actually, you have very good fluency. Maybe you're educators, that's right. So we can also talk to our local educators and we can communicate with them. And even if you don't have physically any native speakers around you, one thing that we can do, there are many platforms where actually you can find different kinds of, they actually have these sort of facilities where you can participate. At this moment, actually, I can't recall any names of that sort of apps, but there are different language apps or language platforms where actually you can find teammates, or you can find your partners that you can practice your English with. And native speakers are also available on this platform. So that can be a solution to that point, but better it's, and also you can listen to different sort of things from different sources, like listening to watching movies. That is also, you're just maybe it is not interactive, you can't talk to them, but at least you are listening to them. So in this way you can improve. And also you can talk to your fellow students or educators who are also practicing English and they have good fluency, so talk to them and improve yourself. It's not all the time that you have to have native speakers around you. For myself, for example, I didn't have native speakers around me in Bangladesh, and you can find them, especially in Dhaka. You can find them, but they're busy. They're working in different international organizations, but they don't have time for you. So you just have to create your own environment, and accordingly, you just have to treat yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shahrear. It was amazing. I hope the Mr. Mustafa question will be solved. Okay, Ms. Farida Akbari, please ask your question. Please say your suggestion, anything you want.
And firstly, let me thanks from all of you and for making such a beautiful online session. And as a previous mentor in the CPA, and it was a wonderful online session and with a lot of opportunity. And let me thanks especially from Mr. Shahrear and for your beautiful recommendation for our students. And it's a great honor to see that my mentee become a great mentor in here and the light up and make lots of beautiful speech. And it was really proud for me. And let me best of luck from all of you and all of the team. And thanks so much.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Akbari. It was so motivational and inspirational. We would love to have you in our workshop. Okay, Mr. Khaybar, our best mentor, please say anything you want.
Hello everyone, I hope you all are having a good day, especially the management team of the Center of Business Administration. I'm very proud to be one of the members of the with the CBA, and I have one question from the Shahrear. Sir, I believe that, how do you think that the skimming and scanning is a good strategy? Because whenever I tried this strategy, it does not only waste my time and it does not.
You're asking about skimming and scanning, right?
Yes, sir, absolutely. Skimming and strategy, skimming and scanning in reading passage.
Okay, thank you. Skimming and scanning, some people, they said they're the types of readings, but actually they're process of reading. I'll say that. Skimming and scanning, it's in some people, they find it useful and some of them they don't find it useful. As you're saying that you find it, that it's waste of time. But for me and for my students, when I I practice with them inside the classroom, sometimes I find it very useful, especially scanning, finding out specific information from different sources or different parts of the sentences. In the reading comprehension, I think, I believe that you have your own ways, but one point that I can suggest you that go for the small text. Instead of choosing longer text, go for this small text inside the classroom, and then you practice skimming and scanning. And when actually we are practicing skimming at the same time, if it is possible, try to incorporate writing, paraphrasing at the same time. So students will find the relevance between these two. So they will use the knowledge of skimming and scanning. At the same time, they will also use it to write something. For example, writing paraphrasing a big paragraph or a small paragraph, and you can ask them to paraphrase it. So they can use that reading technique at the same time in their writing class. So if you can put them together, sometimes because of the variation, the student may find it enjoyable and interesting. But from your own part, if it is your problem that you don't find it useful, then in that case, I believe that you have other ways or means to make it effective while teaching reading inside the classroom. Maybe that's why you don't find it that much useful. Maybe you have your other ways. I don't know. Yeah. Mr. Khaibar.
Yes, thank you, sir. I believe that there are many ways that people can understand that comprehension, and it varies for individuals.
Right.
And when I was preparing for my IELTS exam, I was using the visualizing method while reading a passage, which was very efficient for me, and I was understanding. So, as you said, that it varies for every individual practices.
Exactly.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, dear Shahrear. Thank you, dear Khaibar. Any more questions, suggestion? Okay, so if there's nothing more, I just want to thank for tonight, and I will leave after my thoughts for dearest teams, Ms. Shaista. I will leave the microphone. But before I'm leaving the microphone, I want to say that tonight this workshop was so instructive and useful for me. Thank you, Mr. Shahrear. Thank you, dear mentees. Thank you, the leading team, for this instructive, useful, helpful workshop.
Yes, Sarah, you want to say something?
Salam everyone, and especially our guest, Mr. Shahrear, CB Managed team, mentors and mentees. In this session, I want to say thank you for mentees and mentors for participating in this workshop, and thank you, special thanks from our special guest, Mr. Shahrear, for being in this workshop and for clear and a nice presentation and making this workshop very, very helpful and useful. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your appreciation.
Okay, guys, so I can see you don't have any other questions. So I will thank again all the guests here today and also the people who helped us create such an event for you. And you will have these kind of events in the future, inshallah. Okay, guys, have a great night. If there is night in Afghanistan, it is night. So yeah, have a great night, and please do not forget to keep learning English. Have a great time. Bye-bye, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Shaista John. Thank you, sir. Have a nice day, guys.
Have a nice one. Assalamu alaikum.